radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. 277 days into the new year, only 88 days left. Yeah, man. We'll see if that video just recorded. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful. It is. It truly is. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA for another week. The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Guys, tonight, very special guest, Drew Bankey is here. Tonight, it's a full night of plant medicines and E.T. Yeah, man. That's a perfect night here on the show. Tomorrow night, Grant Cameron is back. He's going to talk about his new book on our very special 1500th show. That is tomorrow night. 1500. Oh, my God. 1,500 shows. I'm not even, I think that number is low by about 10. Many years ago, I was doing some calculations, and somehow we got messed up on the numbering of the shows, and things were doubled, and whatever. That part doesn't matter. Officially, I guess, we're at show number 1,500 tomorrow night. Holy mackerel. How did we get here? Well, we'll talk about all of that tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is show number 1,500, and I swore that after we got to 1,000, I wouldn't talk about this anymore. Maybe when we got to 5,000, but 1,500. That's a cool number. 1,500. I haven't mentioned anything for 500 shows. It's been a couple of years. Okay. All right. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now, you saw right there at the top of the show, I was wearing these. These are the Wayfarer stories. And if you look, there's a camera here. There's a camera here. There are speakers here and here. So you can use it, for phone calls and things like. Anyway, these are smart sunglasses, and they're light. They're really light, well made. But anyway, there's a little light on the inside that lets you know when you're recording and other things, other status. If I open this up, you can see it. It's turning white and green, and it turns blue and some other stuff. You can adjust the volume on the outside here. There's a touchpad. It's crazy. Very cool. So anyway, I shot a video of the top of the show, and I think I did. I think I did. I'm going to post it later. The first person view, right? It's. I can't wait to see it. All right. Coming up in November 12th through the 14th, I will be at the Starworks USA UFOs Conference. UFOs, all the above and beyond at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. Love Laughlin. It's going to be great. And Jacques Vallée is going to be there. Paul Hynek's going to be there. Grant Cameron's going to be there. Grant Cameron's going to be with us tomorrow night. Colin Andrews is going to be there. Jaime Musan is going to be there. 10 other amazing speakers. It's going to be great. I want you to get tickets and info right now. Head over to starworksusa.com. Starworksusa.com. I cannot wait. Laughlin. Oh, man. I was talking to, just chatting, texting with my old friend Lisa earlier today. And she goes like, what's Laughlin like? And so I described Laughlin to her in like 2 or 3 words. She goes, that sounds fabulous. No, she said, that sounds kind of fabulous. I said, because it is kind of fabulous. And my description of Laughlin is my own, but Lisa was on the same page. So she's going to be out there. She said as soon as I get down off this hill, she's going to book everything. So it's going to be great. And Lisa will be meeting all of you out there. Okay, so head over to StarWorksUSA.com. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. JChurchRadio. Oh, Stacy just posted 50 seconds ago. StarWorksUSA.com is where you can see the full lineup. Get your group rate on the room at the Aquarius Casino and your ticket for the Saturday night gala dinner. Wow, look at that. Stacy's quick. Thank you for that, Stacy. And that will get a retweet. Thank you for that, Stacy. That's really cool. Thank you. That is Stacy with an I, by the way, everybody. So I'm going to retweet this really quick. It just says, thank you, Stacy. So you can see it, and just click on it, head over, and get your tickets and info. It's going to be a great conference. Let's get straight to the breaking news. NASA. You're going to trip on this. NASA said yesterday that its mission to deflect an asteroid in deep space using a spacecraft is targeting a late November launch. Now, check this out. Known as the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, otherwise known as DART, the U.S. Space Agency will send the DART spacecraft to a pair of asteroids, the Didymos Binary, at 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time on November 24th aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Did I just say that right? Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Not that far away. Man, at 1:20 a.m. Eastern. So what time is that here? That is, you got to back up 2-3 hours. Is that 10:20 p.m.? That's right after the show, which means I wrap the bunker and head straight out. Depends on what day November 24th is. DART will smash in one of the 2 asteroids known as Didymoon at roughly 13,500 miles per hour on October 2nd, 2022. In doing so, it will change the speed of Didymoon a fraction of a percent, but it will be enough so NASA can measure its altered orbit. How crazy is this? Man, what was that movie with, I remember the movie. It'll come back to me. All right. I haven't had enough coffee yet. I've got 2 coffee mugs full of coffee. This one's half full. This one is full. This one is on reserve for Drew Bankey, and that'll be at the bottom of the hour. But this one is now. Man, I love Renee. Renee sends me the best stuff. Like this next news release. Check this out. Following a torrential summer downpour in northern Arizona, hundreds of bizarre, prehistoric-looking critters emerged from tiny eggs and began swimming around a temporary lake on the desert landscape. Now, these tadpole-sized creatures called triops. I'd never even heard of a triop. They look like little mini horseshoe crabs with 3 eyes. That's right. Lauren Crater, lead interpretation ranger at the Wapataki National Monument, said that their eggs can lay dormant for decades in the desert until enough rainfall falls to create lakes that provide real estate and the time for the hatchlings to mature and lay eggs for the next generation. You got to see these pictures, man. Let's see how quick the Fadernauts get these pictures up of these triops. They're insane. All right, next up, a 96-year-old ex-Nazi secretary who went on the run, 96 years old, escaped, dashed out of court. 96 years old, man. She had to have a driver. She was assisted. Anyway, she went on the run to avoid a court hearing before being arrested, and she has been released from custody pending trial. She is accused of complicity in the murder of some 11,412 people. Today, her name, Irmgard Furchner, who had worked as a secretary at the Stutthof death camp between June 1943 and April 1945, was released from custody in Germany pending her next hearing. 96 years old. There you go. There's a triop. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Thank you for that, Kaz. You guys are good. 3-eyed horseshoe crabs. That is... That is what I said. All right. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. One of my favorites, Kate Winslet. Today is 45. Now, I thought she was great in Revolutionary Road. Name another Kate Winslet film, right? Okay. Let me tell you why Kate Winslet is on this list. Movie 43. And if you haven't seen Movie 43, you need to peep it out. And the scene, the clip with Kate Winslet gets her on my happy birthday list right there. ACD frontman, the one and only Brian Johnson today, 73 years old. Steve Miller is 78. And a lot of great hits with Steve, but I keep going back to just Fly Like an Eagle, the album, the entire album. Incredible. When I was a kid, I'm going to tell another kid story coming up, but when I was a kid, I bought Fly Like an Eagle, and I was probably 14, and I brought that thing home and dropped the needle, and I cannot believe how perfect that album is. And to this day, it's one of my favorites. So happy birthday, Steve Miller. Our dead guy's birthday today is Brian Connolly. 1945 to 1997, died at the age of 51. Brian was the founder and lead singer of The Sweet from 1968 to 1979. He sang on all of their hits, including Little Willie, The Ballroom Blitz, Fox on the Run, and Love is Like Oxygen. As time progressed, issues between Brian and the band would find them excluding him from decisions, and he developed a significant problem with alcoholism in the mid-70s. After leaving The Sweet, his health declined, although he continued touring with his own band. But then in 1981, he was admitted to a hospital with bloating, and he sustained multiple heart attacks and paralysis on his left side, which would later develop into a severe nervous system condition. In January 1997, he had another heart attack, went back into the hospital, and died 2 weeks later on February 10th, 1997, due to kidney failure, liver failure, and repeated heart attacks. He was just 51 years old. On this day in history, 1947, big day. Harry Truman delivers the first ever presidential speech on TV just 3 months after a flying saucer crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Coincidence? Yeah. Fate or fact? All right. I looked this up. I vetted this. So check this out. I swear to God. Fate or facts, it's the best part of the show. And Drew Bankey's coming up at the bottom of the hour. And that's going to be amazing. But Drew's got to top this. Fate or fact. An English convict named William Buckley was transported to a penal colony in Australia. He escaped and was found by Aboriginal tribes who believed he was the returning spirit of a tribesman. So they took him in, and he continued living with them for over 32 years. I'm not making it up. This guy ended up, he was like negotiating with the Australian government. He's part of the Aboriginal tribe. He's part of their government. And and it was all about peace and love. And that's, it's just a crazy story. But it's a fate or fact, William Buckley. Look him up. Tonight, very special guest, Drew Bankey is here for a night of plant medicines and ET. Tomorrow night, our 1500th show featuring Grant Cameron. And we will be talking about his new book and co-authored with Nicole Sakich. That's right. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow night and a bunch of other stuff. And there you go. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now I need to hit this River Moon Coffee. River Moon Coffee. RiverMoonWellness.com. I'm going to have a bunch of guests over. It's my birthday this weekend. And one of the things, I've got something in my eye. I don't know what it is. But I'm stocked up on River Moon Coffee. I can't wait to that moment, right? We're going to have dinner. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have dessert. We're going to have night vision, telescopes and binoculars and night vision and things and sky watching. It's going to be great. It's going to be eclectic. Having a slumber party, sleepover. It's going to be awesome. But there will be a point in the night when I stand at the head of the table and I go, River Moon Coffee? River Moon Coffee? Who wants River Moon Coffee? Everybody raises their hand, and I get to go and grind those beans. People are going to come in and they're going to make sure, they're going to look, and they're going to make sure that it's a bag of River Moon Coffee, that I'm not just like, and I'll have to open the bag in front of them, and I'm going to do all of that, and I love it. All right. Where am I? Oh, okay. Mario Zamparelli. Write that down. Mario Zamparelli. That's with a Z. Zamparelli. Mario Zamparelli. Mario came into my life in 1984. Mario, look him up, but I'll give you the brief history. I'll just say it like this. Mario, amongst other things, Mario was Howard Hughes' personal artist. Okay? Now, amongst other things, he designed everything for Howard Hughes. His plates, his silverware, his cups, his things. Hughes Air West, he painted the planes. He designed those. He designed the interiors of the offices and painted the self-portrait. The only one done of Howard Hughes. Self-portrait. The portrait, I should say, of Howard Hughes. That's all Mario Zamparelli. Look him up. And so he comes into my life, 1984. And I'll make this very brief. I was working at an art studio in Pasadena, and the owner of the art studio, Gary, comes in and says, okay, we got a very important client coming in today. His name's Mario Zamparelli. Tells me who Mario is. I was like, okay, cool. All right. So in comes Mario, little Italian guy, exactly what you would think, hair slicked back, Ray-Ban Wayfarers, right? I'm not kidding about that part, actually. And he comes in, suit, and we meet. And I ended up meeting that day. I met his daughter, Andrea. And we talk about some things, and he gets my phone number. Later on that night, I go home after work, and my phone rings. And it's his daughter, Andrea. And she says, Jimmy, my dad would like to invite you over to the house for pizza. I said, oh, okay. When? Tonight. Really? Yes. All right. I'm there. So I get the address, get the directions, and I take off. And so this is the deal. Mario's house was in San Marino, just south of Pasadena. And if you've ever seen the movie The Godfather, the scene with the horse head in the bed, the guy that ran the studio, right, in Hollywood, that big mansion, that house was Mario's neighbor. That's San Marino. So anyway, I don't know this at the time. So I drive down and the houses are getting bigger, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I pull up to Mario's house. I go up, knock on the door, and Andre answers, and I go in. Now, this is the deal. Some things just stick with you forever. This was 1984. Here we are, 2021, and I am telling you this story. So stay with me. I go in, and the first thing that I noticed about the house, it's nice and it's big, but it's white. It's white. The floors were wood. It's nice, but everything is white. White walls, white this, white. Clean. And it just stuck with me. We round the corner and we go into his living room, and which is big. And there's a fireplace and 2 chairs. And the chairs are facing each other. And there was a little table in the middle. And these 2 chairs, tan leather chairs, design, real Italian thing. But anyway, square, modern chairs. And they're facing each other. I'm like, wow. Okay. No, not stuff full of furniture, not things all over the place. No, that's it. There's this white living room, like 6 or 8 huge floor-to-ceiling windows all the way across the back, looking over this hill. And then, a great view, 2 chairs. That's it. And I was like, okay. And the pizza comes, and Mario and I sat down in these chairs, and we're facing each other, and we just talk for the evening. But it was the 2 chairs and the cleanliness of the house. Spotless, white, right? Okay. So about 2 or 3 months later, after this, I've been over to the house many times, and same vibe every time you walk in. It's like a museum, just clean artwork and things, but nothing, just clean, spotless, white. And I tell Andrea that I need a drawing board, and I was going to go buy a drawing board. She said, no, I've got one in the garage. Just come on down and pick it up. I had a pickup truck. So I drive down to the house. And I knock on the door, and Mario answers, and he says, hey, Andrea says you need a drawing board. And I said, I do. And he goes, what else do you need? I said, well, artist stuff. And he goes, anything in the garage is yours. Just go out there, fill up your truck. said, really? He goes, yeah. Okay. And this is when I found out Mario's secret. And it stuck with me forever after those 2 chairs. So we walk through, and I'm with Andrea. Mario goes back to his art studio. Walk through the house, zigzag around, come around, open up this door, and we go into the garage. She turns on the light. 3-car garage. Packed. Floor to ceiling with stuff. I was like, what? And then it hit me. That's why the house is so spotless. Everything goes in the garage. And it was so funny because for months, I'm going over it. I was so impressed with the house. I mean, I was just like, man, minimalist works for me. I want to live like this one day. The 2 chairs in the living room by themselves. I'm going to do that one day. I'm 58. I'm still going to do it. But the secret was everything goes in the garage. It's like, so it's like this. I got the drawing board. I got all kinds of stuff from there, man. I got pens and pencils and things and then T-squares and that, a wastebasket, stuff, ink pens, bottles of ink, things, a couple of books, drawing paper, tape. I loaded up my car, took everything home. And that was great. But here's the deal. If you ever get to come over to my home, walk through. Yeah. And then I'm going to show you my garage. Some things stick with you forever. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight on this program, Drew Bankey is here. This is a full night of plant medicine and E.T. Tomorrow night, our 1500th show. Grant Cameron is back. We're going to be talking about his new book and everything else that is going on in the world of ufology. And then Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Yeah, come and hang out with us. I'll be right back with Drew Bankey. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward. This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Drew Bankey is with us for the first time. Tomorrow night, our 1500th show with Grant Cameron. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. But tonight, it's all about Drew. That's right. He's with us for the first time. We're going to discuss the sacred plant medicines, their use, and its unveiling of a possible parallel world and contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Drew is not only an Iraqi Freedom War veteran and medicine man, but holds such Native American distinctions as Sundancer and Sacred Pipe Carrier. Also carrying the South American name of Aguila Cósmica, he is widely considered a master of plant medicine, specializing with Huachuma, San Pedro, Ayahuasca, and Changa. Drew is the co-founder of Sacred Journeys Within, a nonprofit plant medicine church, author of the internationally distributed books I'm Perfect and So Are You and Find Your Inner Guru. His experience with near-death, NDE, several ET contacts, being a caretaker of the Crystal and Star Altar, and participations in ancient sacred ceremonies has fostered a relationship with off-planet intelligence, which in turn has led to a responsibility as a messenger of humanity's evolutionary shift. Drew currently resides in Blanca, Colorado, and I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Drew Bankey. Drew, welcome, man. How are you?
How's it going, Jimmy? Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. This is great. But Drew, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Last week doesn't count. All right? So the first-time guest disclaimer. Drew, which is you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and where that conversation starts, and where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. There you go. You ready?
Roger that. Who said we're friends, though, Jimmy?
What's that? Yeah, I know, right? Right.
I'm just messing with you.
No, it's clearly a definition that always needs to be defined. No doubt about it.
I appreciate that, and I love it because some of my views might not mesh with other people, and I just want to put a disclaimer out from the beginning, these are just my views that I'm sharing. So,
my views rub everybody the wrong way 4 nights a week. So, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Okay. Where do we? This is the thing. This is going to be a very cool conversation tonight, and the entire ayahuasca thing. For me, I had heard about it a little bit, but I started to learn so much because of the show and talking to others. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, the knowledge started to come in about this. And I had quite a few conversations with Graham Hancock about it. And one day, this is what happened. I was introducing Grant. Grant. Oh, man. Graham. I was introducing Graham. And he's standing behind me, and as you can imagine, right, it's packed, and I started to talk about footprints of the gods and his his stuff, and he comes up and taps. I'm introducing him, and he taps me on the shoulder and whispers in my ear, "Today I'm talking about ayahuasca." And I said, today Grant's talking about, I was like, wow, okay. He didn't want to, it was so important to him that, yes, his past and his research, it's all there. But he didn't want that to be confusing the issues of what he was there to talk about right then. And he comes out. So I sit down and I introduce him. And this is what happened, Drew. He comes right out, grabs the microphone, thank you, Jimmy. And I sit down, I'm in the front row, and I look up and he says, everybody on planet Earth needs to do an ayahuasca ceremony. Everybody. And that's how we started this off. And I was mesmerized. And so I continued and then he said, I might have been on the show, but then he said, at the time, this was years ago, he had told me that he had done 75 ceremonies. 75. I haven't done anything 75 times, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so when you hear something like that coming from Graham, I don't know what that number is up to now, if it's 100 or 150 or if it's 80. I don't know what that number is. Then it was 75. When you hear that, is 75 too much, or does that matter?
Those numbers, those amount of ceremonies, there's certain people that's right for, and there's certain people that one ceremony is right for, and there's certain people that no ceremonies is right for. It's all individual, and it's specific. There's so many variables involved. You could get we've had people just do one ceremony and they never go back to the medicine.
Right.
And we have some people that are on, their own shamanic journey that are in their process of doing their own shamanic work. So in that case, there's a lot of medicine ingestion. There's a lot of time spent in the spirit world. You got to understand the spirit world and that energetic realm for people that's been there a lot. That's very real, but it takes a while to get used to and to be able to navigate it. And, Graham he's a shaman in his own right, in his own, in his own realm, in his own vibration. He is a shaman, and that some would describe him as that, as many others are as well.
Now, his number at the time was 75. Can I ask you how many ceremonies you have done?
I lost count a long time ago. I lost count a long time ago. I'm in triple digits. I know. I lost count well into the triple digits, so I have no idea.
Okay.
It's but at this point, it's not even about ingesting the medicine anymore. It's when I do ceremony, I barely drink any medicine at all. It's more just it's a constant connection now.
Right. I totally respect that. But also what comes with that is experience and knowledge, right? And acquiring that knowledge. That's pretty impressive. Okay, so that would make, I think that qualifies you as expert.
I don't know about that. I know enough to do good work for other people and help them find their own light. So,
can you tell, before we move on, if you meet somebody for the first time, can you tell if they have done a ceremony? Is there something that changes in somebody's vibration?
Just maybe their outlook. You know, one of the very first messages you get in these sacred ceremonies is everything is in divine timing at all times. And if you can come back into this world and really echo that message, you can operate in a really different way, you know, in the oneness aspect of Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
That's really shown very early on in the ceremony. So you can kind of tell like how people's talking and, you know, what bothers them. Also, the beginning, when you first start going, you're actually digging into, you know, traumas that are inside you, whether it be from this lifetime or other lifetimes or whatnot. They are embedded in your energetic self. So you're digging away at that. So sometimes you might see people that's going through ceremonies through the integration process, and it might not look all daisies in the beginning because you're digging out memories and things like that to further yourself, to further your own consciousness.
Now let's talk about the history of ayahuasca, if we can. Truly ancient. And the ingredients, this is what fascinates me. It's so old, but the knowledge of the combination of a couple of plants can alter your digestive system and allow for this process to happen. That to me, I mean, modern chemistry would have a hard time pulling this together, right? But this is
sure.
Yeah. What's the history? How long? How old is it?
So different accounts. One account I go with is 8,000 years old, and it's a combination between two plants. One is the ayahuasca vine, which is Basteris capi vine, and that holds the MAOI inhibitor, which interacts with your body and allows the dimethyltryptamine that's contained in the chacruna, which is the other half of the brew, which the MAO allows the body to take on that DMT like you were just touching on in the beginning of this. But ultimately, it's a vibrationary medicine that allows you to commune with a consciousness, and the consciousness is ultimately the divine feminine of the entire universe. So the universe is split up in between masculine, feminine, light, and dark, whatever you want to call it, especially in this 3D reality that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. Ayahuasca represents anything feminine. The earth has a feminine spirit. The moon has a feminine spirit. So ayahuasca represents all these different facets of, and just jumping ahead real quick, but the San Pedro and peyote represent the other half, the divine masculine of the universe.
And which are completely different. I don't know if we're going to get into that tonight or have the time, but a completely different class for a lot of different reasons. But 8,000 years ago, how is that possible? And
there's two.
Well, was it knowledge from the stars? I mean, was this a recipe that was given to? I mean, we're talking about Stone Age man here, right? And to have that kind of advanced chemistry at that point in human history is just sounds impossible. How did that happen?
There's two origin stories. One involves star people, and the other one, I'll share the first one, and then I'll get into the star person origin story second. The first one, back in the time of, there was only one tribe on this earth, and there was only one shaman on this earth, and he had a wife. And he was getting up in age, up into his mid 100s. He was about 150 years old. And he was the only knowledge keeper, sacred knowledge keeper on this planet, one tribe. So some of the elders started coming to him and said, you're getting up in age. You're probably going to be passing soon. What shall we do? He's like, don't worry. He's like, when I pass, bury me beside this tree, and a vine will come out of my body and climb up this tree. And when my wife passes, bury her beside me, and a bush will come out of it, which is the first. He represents the vine, and his wife represents the chacruna bush. Mm-hmm. Said, bury my wife there, and the chacruna bush will come up. And if you combine the masculine and the feminine together, you can tap into all knowledge that I carry from here moving forward. So that's one origin story, and that's particular like to the Shipibo tribe in Peru and some other tribes in South America. Now the other one is just straight star people. Both plants were sent down from star people to allow humanity to reconnect to their true nature at a certain time in humanity, and they would step forward. These plants would step forward and initiate the transformation of humanity, well, the evolution of humanity. So that's the second one. It's and that's kind of the story between a lot of these sacred plants. There's usually usually an origin story that involves star people.
Now, what is ultimately the process? Because I hear different words and different ways to describe this, as a brew. So how does it get to the brew state? What happens?
Well, the medicine's collected. Usually it's around 70-30 ratio, and that's usually heavier on the vine than the chacruna. Some ratios are 60-40, and this gets put into a pot and water added, brung to a boil, and sung over and prayed over for 4 days. And that's the brewing. That's a ceremony in itself, the brewing process, and
Sure.
There's alchemy involved. The person cooking the medicine is loading the medicine with alchemy through its songs, and these songs get replayed in ceremony. So it's kind of like waking it back up when it goes into ceremony. The same songs that get sung while it's being brewed, some of the same songs get sung in ceremony. So there's a lot of alchemy involved in it as well. But it's constantly looked over and prayed over for 4 days.
4 days, it's seeping and boiling, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until it gets to really a dark tea.
And what does it taste like?
It's really a nasty taste, Jimmy. It's kind of like earthy, dirt kind of taste, kind of nutty. Some people really like it. Kind of like molasses mixed with dirt in a way.
Okay, you laughed as you said that. So you're not on the affectionate side of the taste.
I'm on the affectionate side of the medicine. I just leave it at that.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate the medicine for all it is.
Right. But what's coming.
I will say this: the only time that ayahuasca truly tastes good is the very first time you taste it. After that, your body reacts before you.
This is good to know. This is important information. And now the ceremony, and I like that, the alchemy behind it. This isn't, which we discussed last week, this isn't sport. This isn't recreational. There is something very, very sacred about the ceremony and going through the process. And you have to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. You get so much more out of it. And we've had people that have come to our ceremonies and they've set in others. There's other retreat centers in the United States that are running and been operating longer than we have. And they come to our ceremonies and they really find another layer of what it's going into. And I really, truly, I don't fully understand it to 100%, but there's songs that are particular to these medicines that open up doorways that you have to be given these songs in a certain way for them to work correctly, and you have to sing them in a certain way, the tone that you sing them, and just it's more about the heart, but it's your intention behind it, and really open up that space and really communing with, beings from another dimensional space, really, or another vibrational space, whatever you want to call it. But it's real, and there's a few places that are in these ceremonies that are described the same way by multiple people.
Right.
And it's very interesting that there's these places that do exist, and they don't dictate. No matter who's looking at them, they're still the same place.
Right.
And they're not even in this dimensional field. They're in other dimensional fields, really past our understanding at this point in humanity. It's hard to wrap your head around a lot of it.
Now,
but the medicine has a way to show you, to make it make sense to you.
I feel a sneeze coming on, so if it happens, just like that.
Gesundheit.
See, I hit the mute button. The audience didn't hear it, but you did, right? That was a real sneeze.
I'm sorry.
That was a real sneeze. Okay. There is, I believe, although I haven't gone through the ceremony, I believe that this is truly an access to another dimension and or another world. Is this something that the hard sciences, and I say hard sciences to measure, right, to have access to start to confirm some of their considerations of extra dimensions and parallel worlds and the multiverse? Is this something that the hard sciences should look into and study for these reasons?
Absolutely, but they're not gonna grasp it until they let go of the linear timeline. If they can understand that time is nonlinear and very, very fluid and constantly expanding, that's what they have to understand first before they can understand this at all. Because it's constantly unfolding. From each one of our thoughts, the universe is unfolding, and this is getting way deep into the conversation, jumping way ahead, but we're manifesting this reality, both on an individual level and a collective level. And this has been known for a very long time, but they need to understand this. They need to understand that the earth is a living being. There's certain things that need to happen for this to make sense. And the way we've been taught and programmed for the past couple hundred years, it takes a while to break away from that. But once you do, it's all very clear.
Is it a situation that, because you mentioned this earlier, and I think that this is the case, is this something that is repeatable? For science, you've got to be able to, reproduce the experiment and repeat it, right, and confirm it. Is this a situation that is repeatable for science for study?
Absolutely. It's just about raising your vibration, and it's been done before. Daryl Anka, Bashar, he hooks himself up, and showing, I could do ayahuasca and you could do the same thing, and you could see the same readings. It's about raising your vibration and frequency to a point higher than what your manifestation is now. And that's really where the point where people talk about going out of body or having these mystical experiences where they really disassociate from their body for some moments in the ayahuasca ceremony. They're raising past the vibration really where their bodies can contain it.
Now, if you take, we've got 2 minutes before the break, and in a scientific setting, where you would have multiple people getting ready to do the ceremony, that know nothing about ayahuasca, right? The experience, right? The first time. And they don't know each other, but they come off of their journey, and then they all talk about locations and things that they've seen, and then the researchers can step back and say, wait a minute here. They all saw the same thing. Right?
They're working on. I think Maps is working on this already.
Right.
Maps is working on trying to build make some type of sense of the energetic field or spiritual field. It's known that it's there.
Right.
Just like these craft, it's been known for years they're there. Like, we need to move on to the next question. Like, what are they? And they're really. I think Greer has 100% right. I agree with him 100% on a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things. They are our future selves. Like, I totally, and leading into the next set, that's this is a contact modality. Like, and for ET races, and really that's ourselves.
Yeah, it's a fascinating part of all of this, and when we come back. We're going to be talking about ET and other things for the rest of the night. But when we come back, I want to ask you about your first ceremony. Okay, so I want you. Yeah, okay. I want you to stop and think about that for a second. Think about your answer. Yeah. Think about your answer before we come back after this break. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Drew Bankey is here. Now, what's great is Drew, knows about Fade to Black and things. Last week, he called into the show on Fader Night and says, "Hey, Jimmy, it's me, Drew Bankey." And we had a conversation, and I knew at that point we needed to have a show. So we're doing that tonight. Drew Bankey is here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. Follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30daysfree on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. KGRADB.com.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code JIMMY at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code JIMMY. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Drew Bankey is here. Plant Medicines and E.T. It's going to be a great conversation. And right before the break, I asked Drew, I said, okay, your first ceremony. And set us up for this. Was it stateside or was this in South America?
Stateside, Orlando at Soul Quest, actually. There's a church there. They've been going since 2015. It was really just first getting started when we got there. They're still going, and they're doing about 60 to 80 people every weekend for ceremony there. There's been over 15,000 people that's been through the doors of that church, and a lot of those people have done more than one ceremony. So I mean, it's yeah, they're creating waves, and that's a beautiful place. It's ran by Chris Young and Anthony Chetta is the cook there. And interesting story real quick about Anthony. Me and Anthony drank medicine for the first time. He got a message kind of like I did that it was supposed to move forward with this medicine. He went down to Peru, spent some time down there, trained for like 6 months to become a cook, and now he's the cook for Soul Quest. So he's been the cook for Soul Quest for a couple of years, and really amazing guy, really big heart space. So shout out to him.
Okay, yeah, right on. What? I got to know what happened. And so you do all of the traditional things. Was it brewed for 4 days, for instance, right? Did you go through the traditional ceremony?
The brewing is normally done by the medicine or a cook. There's lots of times that the medicine is not even brewed by the person running ceremony. There's specific jobs, and a cook is lots of times he's just a cook. That's all he does is cook the medicine. So that's usually not it doesn't involve people in the ceremony.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's done beforehand.
Sure. Okay, so take me through it.
So leading up, the reason I went to ayahuasca, I did 2 tours in Iraq. In 2005, I was in Baghdad. 2007, I was in Ramadi, Iraq. Really heavy combat, especially my second deployment. Come back with PTSD, went through a divorce over there. Just a lot of depression and suicidal tendencies, and that plagued me for years. 2014, I had a full-on suicide attempt, woke up in the hospital, not expecting to wake up in the hospital. And started going to the VA through their programs and medication programs. And long story short, I was on 5 different medications I had to wean off of a couple months before my first ceremony of ayahuasca. And the VA just was not helping me. So I knew ayahuasca come into my life. I can't remember how it was. Conversation, and they call it the seed. Someone threw a seed in my lap of ayahuasca and it started to grow. And eventually, a couple months later, after I started looking into it, I started reading all this stuff about how it worked for veterans, and looked into going down to Peru or South America, and didn't have the thousands of dollars to spend on that, and kind of put on the back burner. My wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, she started to look in the background without me knowing, just knowing that she had to do something to really save me, because she could see something, was going to happen if something wasn't fixed. And she ended up finding Soul Quest in Orlando, and she come up to me and said we were booked in 2 weeks for ceremony, or a month or something like that. We had to start our diet right away. We had to stop eating meat. We had to stop drinking coffee. We had to do all this stuff. And I'm like, I wasn't prepared mentally for that part of it. I didn't know really that was a part of it, but I dove into it and went to the first ceremony on a Friday night.
Wait. Stop drinking coffee.
Yeah, I know.
That's a deal breaker right there.
I'm back on it, Jimmy. I'm back on.
Oh, I see.
I got a cup right now.
Okay. That's a deal breaker. Okay. So
Cafe Bastillo, by the way, that's my go-to.
Yeah. I that was my go-to for a while. Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so you head down to Florida.
Yeah, I was actually living in Florida at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I actually headed up we're living in Fort Myers area, and we went up to Orlando for the weekend, booked 2 ceremonies back to back. The first ceremony, I drank the medicine. I drank the first cup. I went back and drank the second cup, and literally it was hell, Jimmy. I mean, if I would have stopped there, I would have been describing this right now as a bad trip and my last encounter with ayahuasca. I used the restroom like 15 times, and that's not an exaggeration. I'm not trying to be too graphic, but I didn't throw up. It was just back and forth to the bathroom, and people around me, I heard people around me have it, like you could just hear like noises that come out of people around me just having these amazing experiences, man. Yeah. And I'm just going through hell, and this one of the facilitators, they come up to me and they're like, ayahuasca is sealing up the bullet holes in your soul, and it's suturing up the bullet. There's bullet holes all through your soul. And I was like, okay. And they're like, just go with it. And it was just hell. The next day, woke up out of this, in the morning about 9-10 o'clock. Asked my wife her experience. She had a similar experience. And I'm like, let's just go. They can keep the money. I don't want a refund. Let's just go home. I'm not staying for the second ceremony. Like, this is a bunch of BS. And, she ended up talking me into staying. She's like, look, we already paid. Let's just stay and, give it a chance. Talk to a couple of the people who are helping there. And they're like, look, you had a hard experience last night, and she was cleaning you out. Tonight, it's probably going to be the opposite. And so I stayed, and me and my wife both stayed, and we drank the medicine that night. And 20 minutes into that, I was sitting there, my eyes were open, and I saw what I thought was a train was coming across the yard, like coming straight at me. or a car. I really thought a car was like had come around and was driving through this field at us, right at me, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't move really, and this light just overtook me. And when it overtook me, it started showing me like a Rolodex of just other what I perceived at that time as other lives. Now I understand this other dimensional fields myself is operating in at the same time. But at that time, my perception was past lives, so it just kept 1,000 just clicking past me. I could stop. I could pull the picture in. I could go into it and go more into that aspect of myself, and then put that back, and it would go. And then at the end, I met the spirit of ayahuasca and the spirit of cannabis. I've always been connected to the spirit of cannabis since about 16. So I met her, and that was really amazing. It was just to see that there was actually a consciousness that goes with these plants.
Okay.
That was kind of into the lesson.
No, it's not. I know that's just the beginning. But let's stop right there for a second. Did you know about her? Did you know this going in?
I'd heard stories. And to be perfectly clear, Jimmy, and honest, I had no idea how spiritual it was. Like I really, what it was, Jimmy, I was at the end of my road, and I knew that something had to change my trajectory. I knew that deep down in myself. Mm-hmm. And I heard about the spiritual aspect, but I had no idea how it was going to be. And I really got my eyes opened up that second ceremony, and it was really truly amazing. I knew there was a spiritual aspect to it. I heard about Mother Ayahuasca, but I didn't know who she was, like
right.
How I do now, really.
And this is what I find so fascinating is that terminology, her, mother, she, right? Oh. This divine feminine aspect to it that everybody refers to her as, right? Yeah. And that's
I get kind of emotional like talking about her because she saved my life, man. Like she really did.
Now,
really did.
And tell me about that presence, and the divine feminine aspect of it. How did you know who she was? How did you know it was her?
Well, there was a vision, like a vision I could see, but the thing that really showed me that she was that divine feminine was the feeling that come over me. It was if you go back and think about that quintessential grandmother figure or quintessential mother figure in your life, the one that was always cooking, not the one that was smoking cigarettes and, blowing smoke in your face. I'm talking about the grandma. Like everybody it might not have been grandma, but it might have been an aunt.
Right.
That feeling that if you go back to a kid that come over you when you saw, like for me, it was my grandma. So that same feeling come over me when I saw this consciousness and this vision, in the spirit world. It wasn't a vision I saw here. I was in a dream space or whatever you want to call it, but it was just a huge energy. And she was a feminine woman dancing, and her wings were stretched out into infinity, and they were made out of energetic silk. That's the best way I could describe what she looked like.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Fascinating. Were you, we're going to stay right here. While this is happening, how aware were you of your surroundings?
I was totally out of body.
Totally.
Totally disassociated with Drew and what even forgetting he ever existed. I was just me and this being that was the only thing that existed in the universe at that moment.
Wow.
From my perception.
Now, were you were you able to speak? Not verbally outright, but were you able to communicate with this divine presence?
Yeah, telepathically. I was crying, and she asked me why I guess I was crying. My physical body was crying, and I was crying in the spirit world. And she's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I'm just so amazed, like at all this, it's just, I was overcome by every time I would cry, she would like put her wings around me and she would pull me into her until I stopped crying, and she would just stand there. And she did this about 2 or 3 times, and she's like, are you going to waste all this time, crying and going through all this? Or are you going to start communicating with me? I started asking her questions, and she
literally said that. Are you going to waste your time crying like a little baby? Or are we going to get down to business?
Yeah, she was, it was, looking back at first, I was like, wow. I was like, man, this is literally, what my perception, this is what was going on. And so I started asking her questions, and I started like talking like we are now, but in like trying to do that telepathically. And I got through a question or two, and she's like, look, she's like, if you want to really do this, she's like, you got to do it like this. And she like showed me, that was like my first, like for sure download. I felt what a for sure download felt like a third eye, like pinch on your third eye, like in the middle of your forehead, and like your head pulsating, and so much information come to me so quickly. And yeah, that led into the third ceremony, and the third ceremony showed me what I'm doing now. It showed me what I was going to be doing. I didn't believe it at the time at all.
Now, you sound pretty cognizant right now, like you recall and you remember everything. This ceremony lasts for a long time, right? This on a linear 3D in our existence, if we're looking at a watch, hours are going by. Let's stay on the second ceremony before we get to the third.
Sure.
And I appreciate your candidness with all of this, because I'm just fascinated with it. Were you able to remember not only the downloads but the conversation itself? Because how many hours went by? Do you have any concept of that? Was it 8 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours?
Maybe 3. I was in this space, though. My physical body was in the ceremony maybe 3 hours in this deep space. The ceremony lasted maybe longer, maybe 5, 6, 8 hours.
Right.
But this is the build up and come down and everything.
Right.
The space.
Okay.
To be honest, Jimmy, I have no idea how long I was out of body. It was undescribable amount of information and time that I was in there, and it's kind of like going through a wormhole, and time doesn't even exist anymore, and you're just kind of inside the universe. You're melded into the ocean.
Sure.
The drop went into the ocean. That's kind of what happens in ayahuasca ceremony. The drop goes into the ocean and then becomes the ocean.
Now, and I love that. I love that analogy and putting it that way. And I've heard this before, but I guess my point is, Drew, that 3 hours is a friggin' long time. That's a long time. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of conversation. I do 3 hours a night on the radio every night. I know what 3 hours is, right? Yeah. That concept. Do you recall? Were you able to retain the information?
It comes out over time,
right?
You get the initial download, but I'm still unpacking those first ceremonies. I'm still unpacking every ceremony I've ever been in. I think the integration continues on until forever. I think you're always integrating, because I think the information that you're getting is much more than our human self is meant to contain. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's available outside of our human body, because it's so vast and ever expanding. So I think that's why it's like that.
Now,
and it unfolds when it's important, I guess, is the best answer.
Now, this is what is so amazing. You went into this because of an attempted suicide, PTSD, 2 tours through the Middle East. That's traumatic. I can't imagine how that affects you consciously and emotionally. It is what it is. Right? I just can't imagine that. But I look at you now, dude, you are bright-eyed, smiling. You are alive. I mean, you're alive, but you're alive, right? You're alive.
Yeah, I'm living.
Right. How are you today compared to 3 years ago?
You wouldn't even recognize me in 2016 before the first ceremony, Jimmy. You know, it's like I was a beer drinking veteran. You know, that toxic patriotism. You know, toxic masculinity. Drowning in my own traumas and not willing to face it, you know, and that was me. Hateful, full of rage,
right?
You know, quick to snap,
right?
Thought that everybody owed me something. Just the list goes on and on and on. And these first couple ceremonies, you know, they showed me a lot about what I was going to be doing in the future. And one of the things I asked when this come up, in these ceremonies with the spirits, I'm like, you don't know me. Like, you don't know what I did in Iraq. You don't know, you don't know my dark stuff. And that is just kind of a chuckle came from the spirits, and they're like, you're severely underestimating of our capabilities. We've known every single step you took, every single breath, every single blink of an eye. We've seen it all. And this is the reason why you're being brung forward to do this now. And because they told me that if I was able to channel energy to the point where I was willing to take lives in Iraq, and I could take that energy and turn it 180 degrees, and I could help heal the world. And they told me I'd be doing that one day.
What was now? Wait a minute. You just said third ceremony. You were booked for 2. Did you do a third ceremony on this same visit?
No, next weekend.
Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, so after the second ceremony, right? The next day, you're with your girlfriend, now wife. What was it like? Just tell me, what was it like on the drive back home? Because you were one person. Story. Yeah. I can see it all, right? You're one person before you do the 2 ceremonies. Now you got to drive home, and you guys have to talk. What was that like?
So the ride back from Orlando to Fort Myers, it's about 3 hours, I guess.
That's enough.
And
right.
It's a Sunday, and the first hour of it, I don't think we said anything to each other.
Exactly.
Her second ceremony was similar to mine. She had mind-blowing experience, and something she'll never forget. And it was just silence. And we had music on. I couldn't listen to the same music anymore. We're driving past churches, Jimmy. So it's Sunday, right? And all these churches are, and I'm driving past these churches, and I'm just boiling mad, not mad, but I told my wife, I was like, babe, I'm about to pull in one of these churches, kick the door open, just run in there and said they got it all wrong, and just run out. I just wanted. It was overwhelming, what I'd saw that second ceremony, and what just clicked to me right away after seeing it and feeling it and being inside the universe like that. It's something that you can't ever forget. You can't never undo it. And now I really respect the church in all ways, because I understand it's like a roadmap to get back to the oneness or the Christ consciousness or whatever source. But at that time, going past a bunch of churches, it was just crazy. And went home, and for the next week until we went back that next weekend and did 2 more ceremonies. And but for the next week, dreams were really intense. The ayahuasca flashbacks, they call it, or whatever. Really, that was my first experience with really lucid dreaming. And that's when I started really getting lucid dreaming, where I would start seeing things and they'd happen like right away, within a day or two. And that was just even more confirming everything I saw. Is like, wow, this is like, it's real. Like,
well, and it takes me to one of the most famous quotes that I repeat all the time. But things are never what they seem. Any of it. And nothing. Right?
Never.
Nothing. And you're raised a certain way, and it doesn't matter who you are. You're Drew, but it doesn't matter who you are on this planet. You're all raised a certain way. And then you go through an experience like that and that type of exposure, and then you have to take a step back and look around and go, nothing is what it seems. Nothing.
Paradigm shift, Jimmy.
The real kind.
The word doesn't give it justice, but paradigm shift, that it will never be the same. It will never be. My life will never be the same. My outlook on everything and everybody around me, who am I talking to, will never be the same.
Now, we're going to take a break in a minute, in 60 seconds. But here's the deal. You almost checked out after ceremony 1, right? You almost checked out. You get through ceremony 2. You go back home, and you guys re-up. You guys re-enlist. You guys, right? You want your second tour of duty, and you immediately go back 7 days later, 6 days later.
Yeah, it was either a week or 2 weeks later. I was actually told at the end of my second ceremony by the spirit to come back, and it's like, come back. You have a really important message. And so the way to backtrack just a little bit real quick, these ceremonies start off with an intention. So you give an intention to the medicine, like what you want. Like, I want to heal childhood trauma. I want to know my reason for being here. So that was my question going into my third ceremony. That came from a lucid dream. It's like, it told me this is the intention you need to go in with. And I'll get more into the story when we come back.
Yeah, when we come back. And you know what's funny is...
Great teaser.
Yeah, great teaser. Is, I got to make this quick, is that there are inevitably, kind of like yourself, there are those that, you know what, I've already got it all figured out, right? I don't have any traumas I need fixed. Those are the ones, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great show tonight. Drew Bankey is here. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, plant medicines and E.T. We're going to get to all of that after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Drew Bankey is here. Tomorrow night is our 1500th show. Tonight is $14.99. Drew Bankey on $14.99. Tomorrow night, 1500th with Grant Cameron. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. And now, continuing the conversation, and I'm giggling because I love the journey that Drew. In some respects, Drew, this is not in your control anymore. This is something else that is going on. But you go back for ceremony number 3. Let's go straight into it. We could spend a whole segment on what you went through that week and what happened. But we have other things I want to get to tonight, and I want to get to number 3. What happened on day number 3?
Just real quick, I want to shout out Ronnie Lindsay. He's been supporting me for a long time now. He's in the chat room on Facebook Live, so shout out to him.
Right on,
Ronnie. And okay, ceremony number 3. So both the first 2 ceremonies are nighttime ceremonies. Start after the sun goes down. Start with a fire, prayer, blah blah blah. And early morning before the sun comes up. So third ceremony was a daytime ceremony starting in the morning. So done in a wooded area beside Soul Quest. They actually still hold daytime ceremonies in the same area. But so it's in the shade. Let me see. This is in June. Yeah, I think it was in June. So really warm, Orlando, Florida, super hot, sweating and everything. And everybody's got a bottle of water. We drank the medicine already. And there's about 15 or 20 of us sitting around. They start singing the songs, and it start having a very different experience during the daytime than I did at night. Like, it was very external. So I started seeing the sunlight. I started seeing the crystalline pattern in the sunlight. I was looking at plants that were beside me, like ferns and whatnot. That was in the, it's kind of like jungly in Florida. So I started looking at the ferns and everything, and I started seeing like crystalline patterns in them, and they were moving in different ways. And I started to feel like I was about to throw up. And I was like, man, I'm getting really hot. And this cup of water that I had sitting beside me, it had fell over and it just flooded the mat that I was sitting on. So I was just as soon as that thought come through my head of, man, I'm getting too hot, I watched the cup fall over. Like, I don't know what did it, like, and it fell over onto the mat and just flooded with ice cold water. And at that point, I just started crying. I just started crying and looking around. There was ants walking around, and one of the ants said to me, they're like, you should walk around. And I was like, I called one of the helpers over. I was like, can I walk around? And they're like, yeah, we can walk around with you, within reason. And if you want to explore a little bit. And they're like, you good to walk? I was like, yeah, I'm good to walk. So they helped me up and walk with me. And I went and sat down by a tree, and I sat down on this little tree, and this little tree spoke to me. It's like, watch out, dude. And I scoot over to the side. I look down, and it's like this little baby tree. And it's like, and they're like, oh, thanks for sitting down beside me. It's like, really was hoping for an experience like this. And I'm like, I was just blown away, this tree was like telepathically speaking to me. And at this point, my mind starts to, I guess my physical mind starts processing this information. I start to almost become sick. And I was like, well, I need to go to the bathroom. So the guy that was there with me, I was like, can you help me go to the bathroom? Like, can you help me up to the house? I got about halfway to the bathroom, and the ground pulled me down. The grass pulled me down to the ground. I didn't throw up or use the bathroom or anything. But I went into this very deep vision. I saw an ant walking, and I started following this ant walking around the ground. And it said, me and you are alike, this ant did. And as soon as I heard it, and I went into the ant, and all of a sudden I'm like, my consciousness went into the ant and left Drew. And I'm walking as this ant, and I see all these other ants, and I go over and help one of these ants pick up something, and there's a telepathic message from this ant that says thank you, and all of a sudden I go back into Drew, and it said, you helped that ant, you helped that ant on the ground. And this ant that I went into, to back up just a minute, this ant, how it first started, this ant crawled onto my hand and bit in between my fingers. And it really hurt, and I went to slap it. And there was this thing that stopped my hand from slapping the ant. And I guess it was ayahuasca. And it said, you've used force to solve all your problems your whole life. Let me teach you some other way. And it said, you can choose to, I'm not going to stop you anymore from slapping the ant. You can slap the ant if you want. But you can let the ant go and see what happens in the universe of you giving that compassion to that being that you could definitely destroy without a thought, with just smash it to smithereens. So I put it down, and the ant was walking along, and that's when I went to the ant, and I saw that I changed that ant's perception of the world, forever. I gave it a paradigm shift by letting it go. It bit me, and I let it go. And it said, you change that ant's light, the life of that ant forever. You're going to change other lives moving forward, but it's not going to be ants. It's going to be people. And it's and I ask, how many? Is it just going to, do I have just one person I'm going to reach, this one ant? And it lit up in neon, millions of ants around me. It said, how many people you're going to reach in this lifetime. And I said, how am I going to do this? And I saw a vision of a beam coming from the heavens, going into my crown chakra, going into my throat chakra. And then it was going to basically use me as a channel to speak through and to spread information to everybody on this earth, to their information that everybody owns, but is unable to tap into because they've got lazy and speak through this. Through the mouth and the vocal cords. So this is the way that we have to reach a lot of people, because they forgot the original language of telepathy.
That's heavy. I mean, that's heavy. Did you understand what this? I mean, because That's complex, and it takes a certain individual to process that and understand it. Did you get it at the time?
I didn't get it. I just trusted it.
Right.
And I asked how it was going to happen. They said it was going to unfold. It was gonna unfold itself. And I had to remain humble. That was one of the things that I was told. I had to remain humble. I had to not become a deity. They told me that I was going to be speaking messages at a certain, people are going to see me in a certain way, and they're going to want to make me a deity. Said, do not become a deity, because the message that you're spreading is showing that the deity is inside each and every one of us, and we have to access it ourselves. So that's the basis behind the message. And I asked, I said, there's what I was being shown. The information I was going to be spreading. I couldn't fathom sharing it, and I couldn't even fathom how I was going to get someone to understand it or listen to me, because it was just so far out there. And I said, don't worry about it. You're going to spread it, and the vibration is going to reach some people, and it's going to go right past some people. There's some people it's not meant to reach at this time, and that's fine, because everything is always divine timing. Yeah, single thing.
Now, I want to ask you, because listening to this, this is completely different than LSD or mushrooms or peyote and other medicines that people have talked about in the past, and not necessarily receiving messages, but nobody talks about a very consistent divine network that is out there answering life's questions for you in such a direct way, right? Where this is definite. This, you know what I mean? What are the differences? You're not going to get this from peyote. You're not going to get this from LSD. You're not going to get this from mushrooms.
You're wrong, because you can.
Well, I've done all of those, and
yeah,
not
have
had any.
Have you done them in a sacred setting where you have someone that has a relationship, a pre-established relationship with? Just say you have a family member, Jimmy, that lives in Germany, and you've never met them, but they're there. You spoke to them. Does that make them any less real that you've never been in their physical presence and shook their hand, their physical hand? They're still real. So this is what medicine people, shamans, whatever you want to call people working with these sacred ways. And it's about a heart space that they found freeing and true sovereignty, and they're trying to spread it to other people in humanity. That's the basis behind all true heartfelt medicine people's work.
Okay.
They found true sovereignty through this, and they're trying to show other people.
Well, I did the sacred ceremony of mushrooms and a fog hat concert in 1979.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, and I'm glad you appreciate that. I don't see ayahuasca and a fog hat concert combining. I don't see that.
I saw an awesome meme the other day. It said, when I was 19, I took mushrooms to get effed up. When I'm 39, I took mushrooms to fix me from getting effed up.
Yeah, I know, right. Now that is correct. That is absolutely correct. But I just find that from speaking to you and the other information that I have that the ayahuasca experience and the ceremony is definitive. Right, it's not. I keep going back to the word recreational, where it's life changing. Yes, it's
life changing, no doubt. Right, wrong, or indifferent, whether it's placebo, whatever it is, the track record behind these sacred ceremonies when they're done in a proper set and setting is almost you can't touch it. There's no other medicine that you could put up against it that has the same results consistently time after time again. Now, I'm not saying that there's times when people don't connect with the medicine or have bad trips, but those trips usually turn out to be, there's lessons in those somewhere. Just like we mentioned the other day about the frat guys going down there,
right?
And not going down there for a lesson, but
they got the lesson.
The spirits are operating, and
right.
The energetic realm is operating on a totally different time frame and agenda than you are. So
now
it's
let's sort of change direction a little bit, but staying on the same subject, of course. Is that DMT is already naturally in our body?
Correct. In our brain, brainstem, lungs.
Right. Now, and that I find interesting, and on so many different levels. But staying on this though, smoking DMT and going direct and not doing a day-long ayahuasca ceremony, but going directly to source, the knowledge that I have, and I've been with many shamans to talk about this. I haven't done it yet, but that this is yes, that's the key word. Just as long as I can drink coffee. This is a short term, 10, 15, 20 minute connection, and then you are out of it. Right? You step out of it and you're back into this reality nearly immediately. Am I describing that correctly?
Correct. Yeah. The DMT, the particular DMT that's contained in our body is 4-NEO-DMT. And that's the DMT that's contained in ayahuasca. Now the 5-MeO-DMT,
right?
That's the Bufu Avarius frog, and that's a whole different show in itself. But yeah, it's the DMT without any helpers. It's very short. It's very abrupt.
Direct.
And it's hard to really bring back messages from that. So I know you're speaking about, I'd rather blast off with DMT than try ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is gonna treat you better, and you're actually gonna have a better experience with ayahuasca in a traditional form.
Do you what if I wanted to do baby steps? What if I didn't want to go straight into right?
This is your audition, Jimmy.
Yeah,
this is your audition.
100%. There's no question about it. Is there baby steps into this through an introduction through DMT and then to ayahuasca, or do you suggest the opposite?
Normally what we would people that ask for this, normally we would do we would hike with San Pedro for a day, and that's a lot milder. It's a cactus medicine. It's done during the day, and it's a mountain hike. It's done pretty much from sun up to sundown, and you drink cactus medicine. I sing songs. I share teachings about the medicine, where it come from, all that, and that really opens up the heart and begins the medicine journey for people, especially if people hasn't really stepped foot into it. And then the next night we would do ayahuasca, and we've come to find out the results are really, really good when we mix those two, because not mix them in ceremony, but mix them in a retreat weekend, because it balances out the masculine and feminine. And our experience that we've had with a lot of people in these retreats is encounters with source, Godhead moments, source encounters. And I think that's directly accounted to the balance between the masculine and the feminine over the weekend.
Now, what is San Pedro? Is San Pedro, again, a DMT?
San Pedro's mescaline.
Okay. All right. Shows you how naive I am.
So
okay,
peyote, San Pedro, they both contain mescaline. Mescaline is its own spirit. Mescalina,
yes.
it has its own spirit.
It is, and I've gone down that road. a few
Beautiful.
times too.
Beautiful
Yes,
medicine.
Yes. Oh man. Oh, the old days. The old days. Okay, before I start reminiscing,
This screensaver behind me is San Pedro.
I'm looking at that and
Yeah.
and I'm having flashbacks. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so back to the DMT experience, and I'm looking at the clock. Okay, we've got enough time to get this in. I went and read as many accounts of different websites and blogs from all around the world, and reading how people have put this into text, what their experience was. And I got to the point where I felt that I was reading nearly, not 100%, but nearly a repetitive experience, one after another. When you first start reading them, they're all, they seem a little bit different, and they're interesting. But after you get, a few hundred of these, logged in, you start to see an absolute similarity, and that is amazing to me. And what is it that this parallel world, for lack of a better word, what is it that it represents? How is it that everybody can tap into this parallel world unless they were all going to the same place?
Like I keep saying, it's a frequency and vibration thing. Tesla had it best, and he nailed it. If you can understand that, it's frequency and vibration. And the basis that these medicines show you is that everything you've done in your life, you don't have to say you're sorry for. You can stop saying you're sorry for anything, because everything is in divine order all the time. That is the message that is repeatedly given by these psilocybin, peyote, San Pedro, ayahuasca, all of them. That's their basis message: is you can forgive yourself for anything you've ever done, and you are perfect, and so is every moment that you've ever lived. And that's where the first book come from. I'm perfect, and so are you.
Now, a movie director, not going to say who it was, called me up and told me that he just, earlier that week, had a DMT ceremony, one. And I said, what happened? And he said, look, I'm just going to say this, and this is why it scared me. This is his words, not mine. He said that instantly, his words, he stepped into another dimension and sat down with two geometric robots beings and had a conversation with the two of them, and then they said goodbye. He stepped out of the world and opened up his eyes, and he was here again. And I said, well, what are you saying? He said, Jimmy, it was real. And I said, what do you mean? He said, that's the part that scared me. I literally went from this reality and stepped into another world, and it was absolutely real, physical, and it happened. And that's what scared me. He said it was completely out of my control. There was nothing I could do. And then it ended. Now, that is very similar to the other things that I've experienced. And did that sound similar to you?
Yeah. It shows you really quick you're not in control. And to allow, it shows your true nature. We're made of water. We're made to flow. And that's really what it shows you, to flow through life. And to the real power in this is to integrate the ceremony into your physical life. And then that same magic that you see can happen in your physical life. So we're off-grid homestead, like we're on solar, we have horses, we have a greenhouse. Like we're more and more every day, we're trying to live more in synergy with our environment and everything around us. So we're integrating, and I'm speaking for me and my wife and my family and this church. That's a big thing that we focus on. It's not about seeing pretty things and visions. It's about getting that information and bringing it back into this world and really really applying it to your life to change your life.
Now, this director, and this part surprised me, and this will take us into our next segment. He said what scared him was not being in control. He said that's the part, and he didn't know if he would do it again because he now understands the abruptness. He said it was instant going in, and it was instant going out, completely out of his control. But he said this. I said, who were you talking to? He said, you know what? Honestly, I think they were E.T. I said, wait, say what? I thought you said they were robots. They were, but they were extraterrestrial. I'm convinced of that. They were not from here, and they were extraterrestrial. And that always it affected me because I knew who I was talking to. Talking to a very serious person, right? That doesn't go into this zone. And to hear this verbalization that this was real, this is what happened. I stepped into a parallel world and I was hanging out with E.T. robots, right? As a matter of factly as I'm saying it to you right now.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Just look at what's happening now. Will Smith just come out. He just did ayahuasca for the first time, multiple ceremonies. This happened just within the past few days. If I could share our client list, it would blow your mind. We have politicians from other countries that's done ceremony with us, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, veterans, special forces, ex-Navy SEALs, Green Berets, all the way down to the person that can't even get to ceremony, and we go pick them up and do a free ceremony, or everywhere. The whole gambit in between has come to ceremony with us, and it's helped every single person that's come and sat with us. And we've literally been doing this pretty much full time since about 2017 when we started doing this full time.
Will Smith just did ayahuasca.
Yeah. Was it Will? Yeah, Will Smith, I think.
Okay, hold on. I gotta see this.
He said it was his first taste of freedom.
Oh man, holy crap! What? This just
you didn't know about this, Jimmy?
No. Okay. Oh, he did a dozen ayahuasca rituals in Peru. This is a full article. Wow.
If I could show you the list of people that's coming to our ceremonies, it would blow you. There's being names on there that you recognize for sure.
I'm going to leave that right there. We're going to talk about this when we come back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Will Smith. I wonder how he views the Church of Scientology today. I'm just saying. Yeah, right? I just went there. I did. I take it back. This is Fade to Black. Drew Bankey. More with Drew after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Big revelations on the show tonight. Will Smith. I'm going to leave that right there. Drew Bankey's our guest, and we're talking about plant medicines, and we're going to talk about ET right now. Let me say this about Will. Years ago, this is in the mid-'90s, I was able to meet Will and worked with him briefly for a few weeks out at his house, and it involved installing a studio and things. But we had we broke bread and had lots of dinner and hanging out, and a lot of personal conversations. And what struck me about him from the moment that we met was that extremely down to earth. The money and everything else that's around him, I get that. But all that considered, a very cool guy. Very, very cool guy. And this makes a lot of sense to me on so many levels, Drew. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, but my mind is still blown because of the other things that are around him. Okay. Let's move on. But you blew my mind with this. I saw your post last week, and I didn't read through it. I didn't want to know. I wanted to save it for the show. But you mentioned ET in your post. And so let's back up to the post. I know that post isn't your first encounter with ET, but why did you post what you did?
I'm not sure exactly what post you're talking about. On Facebook?
Yes, it was on Facebook. Okay, well, that doesn't matter. But it seemed that you had very recently an ET contact through plant medicines.
I mean, it's pretty much every time we do ceremony, there's something that happens around ceremony time. Whether it be actually during the ceremony, it might come before or it might come a day after. Because it's so one of the byproducts of these ceremonies is an expanded consciousness. And one of the byproducts of ET encounters is is an expanded consciousness. So they go hand in hand, and I've had a lot of profound experiences. I witnessed a lot of profound experiences. My brother-in-law, one time he was temporarily healed with he had a like 90% blind in one of his eyes, and for about 36 hours, and this was just with psilocybin mushrooms. We sat outside. This was a few years ago in Crestone. That's right. I live close to Crestone, Colorado. That's if people are familiar through the CE5 contact and all that stuff. Crestone, this valley is a really hot area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he'd come to visit, and we were sitting outside, and he's like, "Hey, I heard a lot of stories about you seeing ships or whatnot. I'd like to see one." I was like, "Well, I can't guarantee anything, but we can try." So I started singing some songs. We just ate a little bit of mushrooms each, and we started hearing footsteps around us. There was 3 beings that was walking around us. You could hear them shuffling in the sand, and you could hear them communicating through vibration. You could hear high-pitched noises, and there was 3 different points where they were coming from. And all of a sudden he said, "I can't believe I can see out of this eye." He was covering up his good eye, and he ran inside. He was like reading cereal boxes and all kinds of stuff. It eventually went away, like within, like I said, about 36 hours. It slowly started going away, and I believe that was his remembering that he had this, and it was like a programming thing that reprogrammed that eye to be that way. That's what I believed happened in that moment. But yeah, we've had a lot of experiences. A lot of, like, we're close to the Colorado New Mexico line, which is the 32nd. I always get this wrong. Either latitude, longitude, correct?
It's the parallel. Yes.
Okay, so that's a major ley line for the Earth. Just like we have a chakra system and meridian points, the Earth is a living being as well. She has the same things. This is why we have there's a lot of sightings on this line that goes around the whole world. You can, if you look it up, the 32nd is known for a majority of the sightings on this planet. And I believe it's directly linked to the energetic ley lines of the Earth.
The 37th parallel.
37th.
Yeah, 37th.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's okay.
I'm not married to the number. I'm just trying to.
I could have it wrong, but
you know I'm getting at.
I do, and so because of this consciousness connection, and all of this is elevated. Are crafts coming in? Are you seeing things physically in the sky?
Yes, I have, and other people have as well. I believe it was last year. So we bought this house. We moved from Crestone last year in 2020. I think it was June we bought it. And we started doing ceremonies, I think, in July. And one of those first ceremonies, we had a craft, and it my stepdaughter, she was upstairs in our house, and she had an experience where she described it as the moon, but the moon was a lot closer to the house than what it should have been. But and we've had, people go outside and get a breath of fresh air during ceremony. It's really common for someone to come back in and say something's out there. I've experienced it in other ceremonies too with San Pedro, where someone goes into that and for whatever reason for their healing, they need to see a craft for a paradigm shift in themselves.
Sure.
And we've had this happen, witnessed by several people, and just unmistakable craft in the air.
Is there a communication established between these craft and yourself?
Usually not myself. It's usually by whoever's seeing it, or like if whoever's witnessing it. Like for instance, San Pedro ceremony where it just happened a few months ago. That was, I didn't have communication, but it was definitely the person that put that intention into the ceremony. They had a moment. They lived their whole life and wanted to see a craft their whole life. So. And it was a heart-opening paradigm shift in their life that they will never forget.
And did you see the craft yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did it look like?
It was a blue craft, and it had a blue tail behind it, and it was coming up from. So it wasn't coming down towards Earth. It was more coming up from the Earth at a 45-degree angle going out. And it stopped. It disappeared for a moment and then reappeared. And it was blue. It was a clear night. There was no cloud cover or anything. But it basically went out of this dimensional field and then back in just to show us that I guess it could.
Yeah. Right. Did you have the ability to maybe guess on distance and size?
No, distance, probably a couple miles. Off the surface of the Earth. Probably it was below airplane level, so probably below 20,000 feet. It was within 20,000 feet of the Earth, probably.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting how intention is real? Right?
Absolutely.
It's just really...
it's magic. It's magic, man. Like and getting more into it, the government's known about this for a long time, how frequency and vibration work. This is what the Pledge of Allegiance is for. It's to, and I know you did it every day in coming up in school. I did it every day in school. This is what led me to go into backing up a little bit. I was a cop for 3 years. I was a sheriff's deputy in Georgia. I worked narcotics part-time for the last bit of my career before I went active duty. So this call to really serve was really brainwashed into me at a very early age. So when you're 18 and, you grew up on a farm in Midwest Ohio and you're looking for, and you've been saying this over and over, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, blah, blah, blah. And this is why this tattoo's on my arm. I fell right into the trap. So as soon as the call to service come up, I was the first one to raise my hand, not knowing that my call to service intention that was deep inside me, that deep burning to serve, was a much deeper burning, which I'm actually serving my true purpose now. But I misinterpreted it for so long.
Drew's sleeve on this arm is the stars and stripes, and it's waving, and it's actually pretty cool, man. I was wondering what it was, but now I know. No, it's pretty cool, man. There's nothing wrong with that. This is, you are the most law enforcement person I could ever talk to. Right? Looking at you now, but you're saying at one point you were pulling over cars, right? Yeah, you were that guy.
I was a second person kicking in doors.
Looking at you now, it just don't make no sense. That's a real transformation. Okay, so but back to intention. This is the thing, and you can consciously, do it with your mind, of course. But when you speak it, right, when you say it, I would love to see something, or I would love, and then bam, it happens. It's crazy. And when it goes down, Drew, and you've gone through this experience, it's usually at the same time somebody says something, right?
So many times. I've seen it happen so many times, and that's just the proof that the ceremony is not, the ayahuasca is not contained to that bottle, and it's not contained to the 5 hours of ceremony that you go into the ceremony with. That she is everywhere. The universe is everywhere. The source. We are source. I go back to that, the drop of water in the ocean. That's the best way to describe it, to get people to really understand. And you can think of yourself as either one. You can picture yourself as the drop, and that's ocean. Okay.
Right.
Or you can picture yourself as the ocean.
Right.
And part of that, and then interact with that, and that's really how you can astral travel, lucid dream, telepathy, contact with ET, all of it. The consciousness and the understanding that you're tapping into one, that is the real key to all of it. That's the Rosetta Stone of all of it, is consciousness connection.
We were the best way I can describe it is what we're talking about. Very briefly, we're out in the middle of the desert, and we've got like this cabin situation in the middle of I'm talking about in the desert, okay? And we're out on the patio. There's half a dozen of us, and somebody says, "Wouldn't it be cool?" It's about. I'm going to say it's 11 o'clock at night, right? Black. It's in the middle of the day. Somebody says, "Wouldn't it be cool if we saw a UFO?" At that moment, and so somebody says it to my left, and I happen to be, and some of us are already, and I'm looking out over the desert. At that moment, right? Wouldn't it be cool if we could see a UFO? At that moment, in the middle of the desert, probably a quarter of a mile away, close, this white orb shoots out of the floor of the desert and goes pew, straight up into the stars. It lasted for about 2 seconds, right? And we all saw it, and we all freak, and we're just like, no way. It was on cue. It was on cue.
So the vibration that you felt emanating from the center of your core when that happens, man, like contact in the desert. I in 2019 I went there to make contact. Like, this is when I was first starting to come out of all the, with all this stuff and everything. By the way, I'm self-published, self-promoted. Like, all this stuff has been me over the years, just getting it out there. So it's been a struggle. A lot of ridicule. But anyways, I was at Contact in the Desert 2019 to make contact with people, and just trying to get my name out there. Me and the wife stayed there with a B&B out in the desert by Joshua Tree, and we were overlooking where Indian Wells, where it was being held, the hotel it was being held at that year, about 25 minutes away from Indian Wells. And I was like, I bet we're going to see a ship out here tonight, there, because Emery was doing a C5 at Contact that night.
I remember. Yes.
We're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like, the wind's blowing. We're out in the middle of Joshua Tree. The wind's blowing back and forth. You can hear like the wind blowing. All of a sudden, it just becomes super silent, and you hear this whoosh go over top of us. And we look up, and we can't see it at the moment, but once it gets over Indian Wells, you can see a line of lights like maybe 10 miles long. And then you see these drones cut, like these other ships coming out of the bottom of it, and that was by far the biggest ship I've ever seen in my life, man. Like,
so you saw that. I've talked to a few other people that were there that night in Indian Wells that told me about that sighting. I didn't see it. And
huge.
Yeah, that particular night, a couple of people that were outside and saw it said that they saw me inside at the lobby, right, sitting with some people that, they could see me inside. And they were out there going, church needs to be out here. Everybody inside.
It was amazing, dude.
Right. Everybody inside needs to be out here because of what was happening out above the hotel. I missed the entire thing, but you saw it.
It was amazing. I got to see it. I got to see it from away. I got to see the size of the ship, and I got to see small ships coming out of it. It was, as far as ship sightings, that was probably one of the most profound ones I've ever encountered.
Wow.
By Chaco Canyon, I had face-to-face contact. And that's really where my understanding of consciousness come from, was that face-to-face contact.
Okay. So let's talk about that now. And Chaco Canyon, there's a lot of sacred places in the United States, but Chaco Canyon that's world-class level as far as sacred goes. And it's right here in North America.
Oh my God, it's so amazing.
Yeah. So what happened?
So, let's see. It was me and my wife's anniversary. I think 2018. Yeah, 2018. We went to Chaco Canyon to explore for it. We had a B&B in Cortez, Colorado, which is about an hour and a half 2 hours away from Chaco. There's nothing out there. Like, you drive out to Chaco and you got a car camp or got a tent. Like, there's nothing out there. Really, really messed up roads going out there. But this is after I'd already had several experiences with ayahuasca, and I've already started sundancing, and really getting in touch with a lot of native spirits. So I had my drum out there. We hiked around Chaco, around the kivas, looked at the petroglyphs and everything, and really interested in a lot of the petroglyphs. Had the Fibonacci sequence, the swirl on it. There were beings there with three. A lot of pictures there with beings with 3 fingers and all kinds of stuff. Getting a lot of like quips of flutes being played and hearing songs like in the wind out there. And my wife took a couple pictures of me in different places of the kiva, and I took a couple pictures of her. And almost every picture, there's orbs moving around. And didn't see that till afterwards. But I found a piece of pottery there by one of the kivas. Don't tell anybody. I kept it, but found a small piece of pottery. But that night, well, I sung a few prayer songs in Lakota there before we left, and just given thanks to what I experienced there and what I felt there. I felt a really strong presence there, a very, very strong star people presence there. That night, we went back, had dinner. On the way back to Cortez, went back to the B&B, and went to sleep that night. And I woke up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, ears ringing, just kind of nauseous, and my ears just really ringing, and the ringing was going back and forth. And I knew something was in. By that time, I started recognizing that was something to cue me in that there was something more in the area. There's something, a higher vibration in the area. Didn't know what it was, and really wasn't interested in finding out at that point. I just wanted to go back to bed, use the restroom, went outside, had a few puffs of tobacco on the back deck of this B&B, and the backyard is just completely dark. And as I'm standing there, I just feel this vibration like welling up inside me, and like each breath, it just is more and more. Like 2 or 3 breaths into it, I start almost getting sick. So I'm vibrating so hard, I'm almost getting sick. I lean over to cough, and I spit. And as I spit, beside me, I see a pair of feet like standing like a foot beside me, facing the same way. And I follow the legs up, and looks like a shadow. And I follow it up, and at first I think it's a shadow. We live out in the middle of nowhere. We live a half hour from town, so I'm used to not being around street lights. So I'm like, maybe it's a street light. I turn around, there's no street lights around here. It's completely dark. I turn back around, and when I do, it starts to open its eyes, and it's the same height as me, legs, arms, like kind of silhouette shadow. And it opens its eyes, and it's just stars. and it's just galaxy on galaxy on galaxy in its eyes. And the best way I could describe it, my consciousness jumped out of myself and dove into its eyes, and I started flying through the universe. And I started, my first question is, what are you? And it said, I'm you, and in a different dimensional field, and I'm here to show you that you're operating in these other fields, and you need to understand this on this level.
Okay, stop right there. You're going into overtime. There is no way. I'm looking at the clock, and this is where I go. Great show tonight, Drew. Can't wait to have you on again. That was amazing. Drew's website is, but that ain't happening. We're going to continue this after the break. But was this physical?
Yes. Because I felt the cells of my body separating.
No, I mean, I get that part. No, we're going to come back to all of that. I'm saying the being itself, this was physical.
I didn't grab it, Jim. I didn't grab it by the arm. But it was as real. Right. It was as real as if me and you were actually being in person. Like it was
right.
And I immediately knew it was something that was. I mean, I couldn't be in the presence of it for more than a few seconds because literally I felt like my cells were separating and about to float out into the universe. That's what I felt.
Stay right there. We're going to take a break. We're doing overtime. Drew Bankey isn't going anywhere. We're going to do all of this and continue when we come back. And I think everybody knows we were going right here. Drew, stay right there. Overtime is next, and don't worry, we're just going to finish this part of the conversation. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30daysfree on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio?
You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black, Overtime, Drew Bankey. Yeah, man. What a great show. What a great conversation. And you know what this is like for me, Drew? You know, back in the day, you're not old enough to remember Johnny Carson. But Johnny would do this. You know, say it was a first-time comedian on the show or singer or whatever, first time on Carson, and they would look over after they were done, and Carson would go, "Come on over, have a seat," right? And for a first-time guest to make it to overtime on the show, that's pretty cool, man. So that's all right. Now, and the audience recognizes this. Okay, so let's get back to this now. This is okay. So if you're just tuning in, Drew is with his wife. They're out in Chaco Canyon. And they go back to the abode. Is it? It
was a B&B.
Airbnb in Cortez. And so he goes out to have a little puff of some tobacco. And I like the way you clearly said it was tobacco.
If it was marijuana, I would tell you too. It don't matter to me.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter around here. Okay, so, but you look down, you see a pair of feet. Drew then looks up and sees that he is next to a being that is his height. I want you to describe a little bit more, but. The being opens his eyes and he sees the universe, right? Stars in the eyes. But let's actually go back to that moment. Was this being clothed? I know you said dark. It was black. Was it clothed?
It was a shadow. It was literally just a shadow, and I was totally convinced it was a shadow until it opened its eyes.
Right, okay.
And I seen the stars. So there was no details like that I saw. It was literally just a silhouette of me. And now I realize, the universe uses the mirror aspect a lot when it teaches lessons. And this is really what was happening. It was teaching me multidimensionality, being bilocated and multi-located at the same time of our consciousness.
There's a famous line at the end of 2001, A Space Odyssey, when one of the astronauts, and it's Dave Bowman, looks inside of the monolith, right, the black monolith, and somebody said, "What do you see?" Right? Stars. All I see is stars. And that always affected me, that inside of this blackness, this infinite blackness, all he sees is stars. And that's what happened to you. All you see is stars. What happens next?
Infinite.
Yeah.
It was just infinite. It just went on forever. I was flying through it, and like I said, the first question was, "Who are you?" And it's like, "I'm you. This is what you look like in the future. I'm here to show you this because you're going to help usher. You're going to be one of the ones that help usher in this shift in humanity. show me humanity's about to be a shift in consciousness and vibration. We're about to go to a different understanding of existence.
Now, this happened after.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Go ahead. Well, okay. This happened after, right? I am you. But you noticed in the beginning that this being was your height, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was you, but you didn't know it yet.
No, I thought it was a shadow, like from a light. Like I thought a light was behind me and casting actual shadow, not knowing that it was a shadow
of you
in a lesson form. You know, it was a shadow, but in a different way.
So you've got me all shook up. You then you're going through the universe, right? You're now out of body. Is this an out of body experience?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, and it's physically, I can kind of tell what you're going to ask next. It lasted about 3 seconds.
It was
it
my
lasted
next
about
question.
3 seconds in the
Okay.
physical, and that was about all I could take. And I feel, I can't say for sure, but I almost feel like I was levitating while this trance was in place. And yeah, after a few seconds, I couldn't take it anymore. Went inside, turned around, shut the door, and like, not really in fear, but it was more like I was really thrown. I wasn't expecting that at all. And a lot of my experiences have been that way, very unexpected. And, I guess if I'm speaking for the universe now, I guess I need to keep entertaining myself. So I always keep myself guessing,
Now, have you met up with yourself again?
Yes. So this is a whole nother episode, Jimmy, but Uwipi ceremony. For the listeners, look up Black Elk. Black Elk Speaks. He is a Uwipi man. It's a native ceremony, and this goes all the way back to Neanderthal days. I've took part in 3 of these ceremonies, and it's basically opening a portal so fifth dimensional beings can manifest in 3D physical form. And that's where I met Bigfoot. And we were in a closed room, closed doors, closed windows. And this being started coming towards me. I could hear it breathing. I could smell it. And as it got to me, I could see it. And it got in front of me. Time stopped. And I realized this was another facet of myself. This is in the first book. I believe I go into more detail about this. Yeah, there was a witness to that. There was a lady sat beside me that saw it as well. Uwipi ceremony is a pretty intense ceremony. It's pretty rare to find one. And it's really rare to find someone that still does it.
Black Elk Speaks. I'm posting it right now for everybody. I love learning, and I am learning something right now.
He's amazing. He's amazing. I still speak to him. He still speaks to me.
Now, Carl Jung got all wrapped up in this. Okay, so the book originally, Black Elk Speaks, was written in 1932.
Yeah, it's a translation,
right? Which Carl Jung. Okay, so very, very, very interesting. Okay, so take me through that. Is this something that is these types of experiences like this? Is this medicine free when Black Elk comes into your world? Number one, and number two, and number two, is it controllable? You know what I mean? Do you initiate it?
Yes. No and yes. No, there's no physical medicine. The
Right.
medicine is vibration. There's 28 different songs that are sung.
Right.
And some of these songs are not shared. You can look up Lakota songs on YouTube or SoundCloud. There's a certain set of these songs that does never get shared. Like, you would never find them on YouTube. And so there's no medicine involved other than frequency and vibration. So, what was your second question?
Is it controllable? Is this something that you initiate?
It's initiated, but once the ceremony has started, just like any ceremony, you figure out real quick that you're out of control. Like, the spirits know what's best. They're really there to help us and further us along, because they're just another facet of ourselves that has already been through the process that we're going through right now. And they're trying to make it a little as easy on us as possible. And that's really the basis behind it all.
Now, is this you from the distant future? Am I understanding this correct? Yes.
I would say, and I would go, so Bigfoot come into this room, and like I said, he come into this room, doors were locked. Sheets over the doors, windows locked, sheets over the windows, totally, completely shut room, pitch dark in the room. And this being appeared and left the room without using a door. There's tons of other stuff that happened in that ceremony. Like a lightning storm started happening. It started raining inside the room. Lightning started striking inside the room.
No
really
drugs. No drugs.
No drugs, man. And,
okay, I'm making light of this, but somebody that is listening to this without understanding where we're coming from is going to say, Drew was high, right? Oh, okay.
There was 50 other people in the room.
Right. Raining in the room.
What's that?
Raining in the room.
Raining in the room, yeah, but there was no water on the ground. So you could feel water hitting you. You could see lightning, but like when at the end of the ceremony, nothing was wet. It's hard to explain.
No, I get it. I get it. It sounds crazy, but it also sounds fun.
It's one of the most intense. It's the only, I wouldn't say the only ceremony, but whenever I think about doing another one, it stands the hair up on the back of my neck, because it really shifted my understanding of things vastly. I understood telepathy in that ceremony, because I was thinking at one time, beginning of it, like song 3 or 4, I'm sitting there, I have my drum, I'm singing, and I'm starting to sing songs I've never sung before. And I'm starting to hear a different voice singing them, like a lot of weird stuff going on. But all of a sudden I started thinking, I started sweating. I'm like, man, it's hot in here. All of a sudden the walls in the room, the spirits or whatever you want to call it, they dissolved the walls, and wind was blowing through, and we were basically the whole group was sitting in a field. And then we were transported back into the room. But every thought that I had, the spirits proved that they could hear what I was thinking.
Now, is everybody sharing the same experience? The walls coming down and out in the field.
Check this out. There was many that described the same experiences. There was one person out of 50, and this about 15 people from Russia. This happened in Crestone, Colorado.
Right.
And about 15 people come from Russia to do it. Other people all over the world. These ceremonies are extremely rare. There's only a handful of these people that have the right to do this still. It's very hard on your body to do this ceremony, because you're kind of letting the spirits borrow your life force energy, the medicine person of this, to open up this portal. And that's kind of what goes on. But for instance, one time there was these rattles flying around the room, and there was these sparks flying out like lightning. And there was like 20 rattles flying around. And in my head, I'm thinking, and I'm not speaking it, but thinking that the medicine man has someone that's walking these rattles around. They got like a little flashlight or something, and something's going that, my mind is trying to dissect this.
Right. That it's a trick.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because I mean, if it's not real, I want to know. If it's real, I want to know. Either way, I want to know.
Either way, it's messed up. Right. Yes.
Either way, it's messed up. It's crazy shit either way.
Yes.
The rattles, they fly around, and all of a sudden they start vibrating, and they all stop at the same time. As I'm thinking this, all like 15, 20 rattles start flying around the room like hummingbirds. And I'm like, okay, there's no way that someone could, in a pitch dark room, you would have to have half the people here would have to be in on it. Like, and I know that, there's no way that many people's in on it. And there's no way that these rattles could be flying around that they're flying around people's heads. They're going between people, going in people's pockets, coming back out of their pockets, like taking stuff out of people's pockets. And this one lady, she had 15 blue prayer ties. So she had like fabric with tobacco in it tied. She had 50 of those in her pocket as a prayer. It's a Native American thing. So she set an intention while she was tying these prayer ties and put it in her pocket, asking for a healing from the ceremony or whatever. Those 50 blue prayer ties wound up in my wife's shoes. And this lady was sitting on the other side of the room. It was a 25-foot room. She was sitting on the opposite side of the room. They dissolved out of her pocket and wound up inside the toes of my wife's moccasins, sitting beside me.
Now, this is crazy town, right? Okay. Yeah, I love this. I love this so much. And I say this so much, but it needs to be said right now. Most of the world doesn't get it and doesn't care, right? They are in the zone of definite life experience of going to work, paying the bills, coming home, watching TV, eating some dinner, going to bed, taking a shower in the morning, getting up and doing it all over again. Fact, right? Drew goes like this into the mic. Fact. But that's the reality that we are in, right? And they don't recognize life's synchronicities. They don't recognize the universe speaking. Examples being laid out in front of them like breadcrumbs, but they choose to ignore it. Absolutely. And they want to live in this 2D experience. And that's that crazy. When life is over, it's over, right? It's a chemical thing. Your body shuts down, and that's the end of everything. And they just don't get it, do they? Drew's got it. Right? It isn't that amazing? And
it's amazing, and I believe we're all on the road to figure this out. And it's all of it's just amazing, Jimmy. It just really is. It's freeing. You can find true sovereignty if you start to understand it, and and you can start. Once you figure out what's really going on, you can start living life, because there is no death to dwell on. There is no death. There is you just start. And this is a whole nother show too. When I talk about my near-death experience, I understood in that moment that my truck will stop running. Like I just had to buy a new truck. My Nissan Xterra stopped running. I had to get a Silverado. But Drew, that whole time, switching trucks, being in the dealership, the voice and the eyes that you're speaking to, this consciousness never stopped. I just got in another vehicle. And that's the biggest thing that I learned from my near-death experience.
And you used to be a cop.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, huh?
What the hell? Yes. It's
a call to service, man. And this is the service that a lot of veterans, and this is the trauma. Trauma pushes you to this depression, near death, and then all of a sudden ayahuasca comes in, you see the spirits, and then you find out what that really true. Because I remember when I raised my hand and got sworn in as a police officer, I know the feeling. I remember what the feeling in my heart when I raised my hand and sworn into the military. That same feeling when the spirit showed me my real mission in this world, that same feeling come over me, and it was so much more. It's like, oh my God, I finally found it.
I went through an experience. Okay, I don't practice meditation. I don't do that. I have a fear of it. Okay, but that's a whole nother show too as well, which we can do. But I go through this stupid, and I'm going to say stupid because I didn't get it. I went through this stupid ceremony. I'm in a medicine wheel, sacred land, and I do all of the things that I'm told to do, and go through, north, south, east, west, and go in and turn sideways 3 times and click your heels, and I go through the motions, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm not pretending. I'm taking this very serious. But at the end, got some drums, got some singing bowls. Got some native songs that are being sung, and I'm sitting, and I'm with everybody, and all of a sudden, I'm gone. Right? Okay. Now, it doesn't matter where I went, and I've told everybody a million times I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to do it. But I went there. Okay? And I don't know how long. I keep asking you, well, how long? How? I don't know. And so anyway, so I come out of this thing, and I think the drums kind of stopped, or the singing stopped. I'm really not sure. But all of a sudden, I looked around. I didn't know where I was. I'm with people that I know, that I'm friends with, and I don't recognize them. And I didn't dig this. I didn't dig it. And I stand up and I close my eyes again, and I tried to take myself back. Didn't happen. And I was like, oh, man. And I could barely walk. I could barely walk. And I'm walking away, and I'm just like, man, nobody talk to me. I got to be by myself for a second here. Took me about 30 minutes. Okay, before I was checked back into planet Earth. I didn't dig it, Drew. I didn't dig the uncontrollable part of that. I like to be in control. But what it showed me is that this stuff is real. This is real. This thing,
Well, it also showed you, Jimmy, that everything will be okay, even if you lose control. Everything's going to be okay. That's a lesson I hope you found out.
The lesson learned was bad. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know, because nobody.
It's powerful, man.
Yeah, nobody warned me. Nobody told me. There wasn't anybody there holding my hands. Nobody told me what to expect or what. And boom. But here's the other thing, is that. I was sober. I'm years sober, but I'm saying at this point, there was no influences. There was nothing going on. I had been at this location for probably not a week yet, but certainly a few days. There wasn't any bad food or bad shellfish, or you know what I mean? There was nothing there externally. This happened by song. I'm convinced of that. Certainly the location, but the
drum beat too.
Yeah, and the uncontrollable part though, that was, and I I'm sure with practice and things, that this is a place that you can go to whenever you want. But
yeah, I pretty much stay there in a way.
Yeah.
The real quick, the drum. I'll tell you real quick what the drum does. The medicine is our heart. The drum, it's a scientific fact. If you make a noise repeatedly, if I do this, me and your heart's going to come in sync within 2 minutes.
Yes, that's right.
Just tapping on the table.
Right.
The drum does the same thing. You think about if the intention's the same and there's multiple people around that drum, and you expand that for 4 days, like the Sundance.
Right.
That's the real medicine.
Right.
Is our heart.
Right.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, like one of those Rasta 4-day drum ceremonies. But yeah, because everybody is getting on the same vibration, the same.
Well, the Sundance is a 4-day ceremony where I fast from food and water for 4 days.
Right.
And that's another thing, the audience, look up Sundance or check out my books. I talk about them in there. And
now, where can everybody, is everything available over at sacredjournieswithin.com?
Is this plug time?
But no, you just mentioned the books, and they were talking about this in the chat rooms.
Sacred Journeys Within, they can order them through there. I get them that way. They can get an autographed copy or autograph it personally, and each one's different. I send a different message. I sign it differently to each person. It's whatever's coming through at the time.
Sure.
Or they can go to Amazon. They're both on Amazon. The first book, you can buy it in an ebook format for 99 cents. I try to make it available so anybody could get it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both available on Amazon now. The second one is priced a little different, but the first one I try to make it so is available for pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I was watching the chat room. What was the name of the book? Drew said it too fast. Did anybody catch it? What was the name of the book? But both books are available over at sacredjournieswithin.com, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Or Amazon.
And the links, it's Sacred Journeys Within, but Journeys is
IES.
Yes,
not a Y,
Journeys is spelled a certain way. So the easy way to do it, just click on the links over at jimmychurchradio.com. And all the information, I'm going to call it a church, and what you do is all available there.
Yeah. Information on upcoming retreats, past interviews I've done. I did 2 interviews with Grant Cameron about a year and a half ago. They're really in depth. I go really in depth. He was really interested about the contact modality between ET and everything. So there's a page on the website that has all my past interviews, upcoming conferences I'll be speaking at, and you can book upcoming retreats as well.
Yeah, fantastic conversation, man. And I can't wait. And you're absolutely right. That's a whole nother show. And we will be doing that. Drew, thank you so much, my man. And give my best to your wife. And just enjoy that journey that you're on, my friend. This was a great show.
And just give blessings out to my wife. She's pregnant. We just had our appointment today, 14 weeks and 1 day. Baby's healthy. We're going to name him Hawk. Also, I want to give a shout out to Lightworkers Message for Humanity. That's a conference I'll be at next month in New Smyrna Beach, November 19th to 21st in Florida. I'll be speaking there, having books. And we are proudly affiliated with the following: www.retreatguru.com and also www.mountainroseherbs.com. You can, if you find something on mountainroseherbs.com, message our website and we'll give you a promo code, and we get part of the proceeds goes back to Sacred Journeys Within. So those are a few companies we're affiliated with, and that's about it. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and if you want to know more about some of my cases, MUFON case number reference 105233. Jeremy Ray was one of the investigators, and you can look more into some of my cases that I've had experiences with. So
yeah, Jeremy Ray, that's a guy in need of ayahuasca right there.
Yeah.
He's one of the coolest people on this planet, man. I love that guy so much, and I just spent a lot of time with
Brad
him.
Harris too. He's and Gigi over at Shift Happens. Those guys love me. They're trying to get me to CLE. Shout out to those guys for the support ever since being on their show. They're awesome.
Yeah,
and thanks you, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank
been you. Trying to do this breakthrough for a long time, and finally, I'm glad that we had this conversation. I knew it was going to be amazing. So
you're the very best. If you need anything, reach out. Hit Twitter tonight with all of those websites, and I'll do a retweet here shortly. All right, Drew. Thank you so much, man. What a great show! It was a perfect show. I was hoping for it. I got it, and so did the rest of the audience. Enjoy the rest of your night, and congratulations, Hawk. I love it. I love it. Take it easy, Drew. Thank you so much, my man. What a great show tonight. Drew Bankey, again, sacredjournieswithin.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. And this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Grant Cameron, show number 1500. Until tomorrow night, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.